All right, Rangers supporters, gather round because we've got a fresh update on the transfer situation and it's got a wee twist to it. It's been a few days since the last big announcement, and if you believe what Danny Röhl's been saying, there's still more arrivals expected this January. Now, I'm no gonna lie. Now, I'm happy with the 3 signings we've made so far, but I'm still feeling like we need to push a bit further. We need to bring in more quality, more first-team ready players, the kind that can help us close the gap and really lock this league title down. We're at a point where we can't just settle. We need to strengthen properly, and that's the kind of ambition the squad deserves. Now, yesterday brought a bit of news that while I'm not the type to celebrate another player's injury, you've got to admit it's a wee boost for us. Hearts are currently 6 points ahead of both Rangers and Celtic, and they've already done the double over us this season. They've been in fantastic form, and one player in particular has been absolutely on fire. But yesterday came the announcement that Shankland will be out for 6 to 8 weeks with an injury. That's a huge blow for Hearts. He's been their talisman, their main goal threat, and losing him for that long at this stage of the season is massive. I'm not here to be disrespectful or to celebrate someone getting hurt. I wouldn't do that, and I'm sure no decent football fan would. But we've got to be realistic about what this means. Hearts suddenly look weaker. The pressure is on them to respond, and it'll be interesting to see if they do anything in the transfer window to cover that loss. But considering it's only 6 to 8 weeks, I'm not sure they'll be throwing money around to bring someone in. It's a short-term problem, and they might just have to cope without him. Still, it's a significant setback for them, and it's the kind of moment that can change the dynamics of the title race. Now, onto the transfer twist that's got people talking. The other day, a lot of sources were saying Rangers were targeting a striker named Thomas, a player from Borussia Mönchengladbach who'd done well on loan at Sparta Prague. The story made sense at first glance, but then his performances in the Bundesliga have been less than impressive, and his numbers don't exactly scream must sign. Despite that, the rumours linked him with Rangers, and for a few hours it looked like we might be making a move, but then, out of nowhere, a huge twist happened. Florian Plenborg came out and said that the player is actually on his way to Celtic. At the time of recording, it sounds like he's agreed a deal and is heading to Glasgow for a medical. The plan is for him to join Celtic on a 6-month loan. That's a bit of a shock, to be honest. It's not the kind of player you'd expect to see linked with the old Rangers transfer model, and the fact he's apparently heading to our rivals is a twist. I'm genuinely curious where the original Rangers link came from, because the morning reports had him as a potential Rangers target, but then it all flipped and suddenly he's a Celtic player. To be fair, when I first saw the link, I wasn't exactly excited. In recent years, we've seen Rangers sign strikers who've had little to no goals or assists, players who looked promising but ended up struggling here and not making an impact. It's happened more than once, and it's left a bad taste. So when I heard we might be linked to this guy, I was a bit like, nah, I don't really want him. I'm not saying he's useless, but it didn't feel like the kind of signing that would make a big difference. So I'm actually relieved it's not going ahead, and that's where the twist gets even more interesting. It makes you wonder if we were just being used as a bit of leverage by his agency, or if the story was floated to test the waters. Either way, I'm glad the club seems to be learning from past mistakes. There was a time when we would have just gone for a striker who wasn't doing well in Spain or Germany, hoping that a change of scenery would spark something. Sometimes it works, but too often it hasn't. And we've ended up stuck with a player who doesn't fit or can't adapt. That's the old regime's style. And I'm happy to see we're moving away from that. Of course, I'm not gonna get too carried away and say this is proof of a new era, because we all know how football goes. One transfer window doesn't make a season, and we've still got plenty to do if we want to challenge properly. But this kind of decision-making feels more sensible. It feels like we're being more selective, more thoughtful about the kind of players we bring in. And with the title race heating up, we need that kind of focus. Now, let's shift focus to something that's already starting to look like a bigger deal than just a short-term loan. Rangers' move for Andreas Skov Olsen is already being discussed as potentially a long-term signing, and that's because the club is clearly open to the idea of turning the loan into a permanent deal if he performs well. He's only just arrived at Ibrox, and the deal runs until the end of the season, but there's already a framework in place. If he impresses and fits into the project, Rangers can activate the option to buy him for £8.6 million. The internal stance seems pretty clear. If Skov Olsen shows he buys into what the club is building and delivers the impact everyone expects, then the club are ready to act decisively. The fans have already started warming to him, and it's easy to see why. He's got a reputation, a pedigree, and he's the kind of player who can add real quality to the squad. And behind the scenes, there's a growing belief that this could be one of Danny Röhl's defining pieces of business. It's a significant financial commitment, but sometimes you need to spend a bit to get the kind of player who can elevate the team at a crucial moment. Right now, though, the focus is on performance and attitude. Rangers want to see that he's committed, that he's hungry, and that he's willing to be part of the long-term project beyond this season. The pathway to a permanent deal is there, but it's ultimately up to him to prove he wants to stay. And with Rangers now back in the title race, the timing couldn't be more important. If he hits the ground running, he could force the club's hand sooner rather than later. Now, speaking of wide players and how this new signing impacts the squad, the arrival of Skov Olsen has naturally raised questions about what happens to the other wingers already competing for places. The one that's been mentioned most is Oliver Antman, the Finland international who arrived last summer after a standout season in the Netherlands. He came in with a fair bit of expectation, especially after he had an incredible campaign with 21 goal involvements, but his impact in Scotland has been far more limited than anyone expected. He started just 6 league matches and has only managed 1 assist in the Premiership. Since November, he hasn't been in the starting 11 at all, and that's a clear sign he's fallen down the pecking order. Naturally, when Skov Olsen arrived, the assumption was that Antman's time at Ibrox might be coming to an end. That's the way football works. You bring in a new winger, and suddenly the older options are pushed further down. But the current thinking under the manager is different. Even though Antman's role has reduced since the managerial change, the coach still sees value in keeping him involved in the squad for the second half of the season. The idea isn't to write him off. Instead, it's to maintain depth and flexibility. Rangers are trying to build momentum, and with so many competitions still in play, having options on the wing is crucial. It's not just about the best 11. It's about having a squad that can sustain a push for the title and handle the physical demands of the season. The competition for places will naturally intensify, and that's not a bad thing. If Antman responds positively to the increased pressure, it could be exactly what he needs to rediscover his form. Sometimes players need that challenge. If he sees that his spot isn't guaranteed, it forces them to raise their level. And that's the kind of environment that can push the whole squad forward. Rangers need players who are hungry, and the last thing the club wants is complacency. So While it might look like Antman is on the way out, the truth is he still has a chance to prove he belongs. It's up to him to take it. Meanwhile, Rangers are also facing the wider picture in the title race. Hearts are currently at the top of the Premiership, but the injury to Shankland has shifted the landscape. It's the kind of opening that Rangers have been waiting for. For months, the club have been applying pressure, staying in the race and waiting for a moment when Hearts might falter. This is that moment. Shankland is the league's top scorer, and he's central to Hearts' attacking output. Losing him for 6 to 8 weeks means Hearts will miss key fixtures, including the big games against Rangers and Celtic. That's a huge blow, and it creates a genuine opportunity for Rangers to take advantage. The timing couldn't be better for us. We've been building momentum, and the team have been showing signs of improvement. If we can take advantage of Hearts' weakened position, it could be a turning point in the title race. The key will be to stay focused and not get carried away. Rangers have to keep winning, keep grinding out results, and keep the pressure on. It's not enough to just hope Hearts drop points. Rangers have to force the issue. That's what winning teams do. You don't wait for your rivals to fall. You take control and make sure you're in a position to capitalize when they do. But the title race isn't just about Hearts. Celtic are always in the mix, and they're not going to let the chance slip easily. Rangers have to be ready for a tough run-in, and that means the squad needs depth. That's why the signings and the competition for places are so important. Rangers need players who can step in and perform, because the season isn't going to be kind. Injuries, fatigue, and form fluctuations are all part of the game, and the club needs to be prepared for all of it. That's why the manager is keeping Antman involved. It's not just about the now, it's about being ready for the next game, the next challenge, and the next test. In the end, this season could come down to who can handle the pressure. Hearts have been strong, but this injury exposes a weakness. Rangers have been under pressure for months, and they've responded. Now it's time to push. If Skov Olsen can settle quickly and make an impact, it could change the dynamic. If Antman responds and finds form, it could give the team even more options. And if the rest of the squad can stay consistent, then Rangers could be in a very strong position as the season reaches its climax. The next few weeks will be crucial, and the atmosphere around Ibrox is going to be electric. The fans can feel it, and the players can feel it too, but that's not all. There's still the question of how the club will handle the rest of the transfer window. Will Rangers continue to look for reinforcements? Will there be more signings to add depth? Or will the club decide to stick with the squad and trust that the current group can deliver? It's a decision that will define the season. The manager has to weigh up the options carefully. Bringing in the right players could make the difference, but bringing in the wrong ones could disrupt the squad and cause more harm than good. That's why the club needs to be patient and selective. The transfer market can be a dangerous place, and the last thing Rangers want is to make a panic signing. For now, the focus is on the pitch. Rangers need to keep performing and keep winning. The title race is still wide open, and the opportunity is there. Hearts have lost their main weapon, and that opens the door for Rangers to strike, but it won't be easy. Celtic will be pushing, and Hearts will be desperate to respond. The pressure is on, and that's when the best teams show their true quality. Rangers have the chance to prove they're one of those teams. It's a big moment, and the players will need to step up. The fans will be behind them, and the energy at Ibrox will be intense. This is what football is all about, and Rangers are right in the middle of it. So as we head into the final weeks of January, the focus is clear. Rangers need to keep pushing, keep improving, and keep believing. The title race is wide open, and the opportunity is there. It's up to the players and the management to take it. And for the fans, it's a time to stay behind the team, to keep the faith, and to make sure the atmosphere remains electric. This is the kind of moment that can define a season, and Rangers are in the thick of it. The next few games will tell us a lot about what kind of team we really are and whether we have what it takes to go all the way. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Whispers have been swirling through Ibrox over what some insiders are calling a veterans' revolt against manager Danny Röhl. Sources close to the club claim that a group of senior players cornered the young German coach in the dressing room, delivering a blunt message: "Stop treating us like children." Röhl, who rose rapidly from a short playing career in Germany to the top of Scottish football, is said to have a meticulous, almost hands-on approach to coaching that has won plaudits for its modernity, but apparently not everyone is buying in. The Rangers hierarchy has been tight-lipped, but observers note a tension simmering between the youthful, disciplined methodology of Röhl and the more seasoned instincts of his senior squad members. According to insiders, the confrontation was less about tactics and more about tone. Veteran figures reportedly feel that the manager's insistence on drilling routines and micromanaging certain aspects of the squad is bordering on overbearing. They're experienced professionals. They don't need to be guided every step of the way, one source suggested, speaking under the condition of anonymity. Röhl's rise has been meteoric after stints with FSV Zwickau, FC Sachsen Leipzig II, and FC Eilenburg. A career-ending injury at 21 forced him to pivot into coaching. His analytical mind and tactical sharpness have impressed across Europe, earning him the Rangers' hot seat despite his youth. Yet some players evidently feel that experience in boots counts for something, and a manager's authority doesn't automatically translate into immediate respect. Fans are divided. On social media, speculation runs rampant. Some argue that Röhl's structured style is precisely what Rangers need to challenge for silverware consistently, while others fear that a rift with senior players could destabilize the squad at a critical juncture. Club insiders insist there is no formal mutiny, but the atmosphere, they admit, has been tense and charged. What happens next could define Röhl's tenure. Will he adapt his approach to accommodate the veterans' sensibilities, or will he double down on his methods, trusting that discipline and precision will ultimately win out? Either way, the Ibrox faithful are bracing for a storm that could reshape the dynamic at one of Scotland's most storied clubs. The story is far from settled, but one thing is clear: Danny Röhl's time at Rangers is already proving anything but conventional, and Glasgow may be the stage for one of the most intriguing managerial challenges in recent memory. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC, and don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.